Hello everyone, welcome to the Sangfor webinar series. I am Lucas from the Sangfor UAE team. I'll be your moderator for this webinar. Today we're presenting the topic Sangfor VDI, a seamless Citrix alternative. In this section, we will provide you with an in-depth exploration of Sangfor's virtual desktop infrastructure (VDI) architecture with a detailed comparison to Citrix. This webinar is designed for offer IT professionals and decision makers valuable insights into the benefits of adopting Sangfor VDI as a robust alternative to Citrix, supported by a thorough comparative analysis. Our agenda today includes a comprehensive briefing on the Sangfor VDI solution architecture in a comparison to Citrix, followed by a detailed comparative study highlighting our advantages. We will conclude with an examination of migration strategies and reutilization scenarios to facilitate a seamless transition. Our speaker today is Gazali. After this presentation, we will also have a Q&A session. You're welcome to send your question in our Q&A module, and we will answer it one by one later. Now, let's get started and welcome Gazali.
Thank you, Lucas, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to attend the webinar. I hope you all are in good health, and Ramadan Kareem to all of you. I know I might have been a little late in wishing some of you Ramadan Kareem, but better late than never, right? So, um, this webinar is going to cover the topic, as you can see, Sangfor VDI, also known as ADESC, a seamless Citrix alternative. So, what is the purpose of doing this webinar? This webinar should equip you all with the required information and knowledge to speak with the customer who want to build a new VDI environment, and also for those who are running currently Citrix VDI and are looking for an alternative solution. And in this case, Sangfor VDI is the best alternative that customers can get, which we will go through in this webinar. Now, I would like to introduce myself before I proceed with the webinar. My name is Gazali Aga. I'm the pre-sales manager in Sangfor. I'm based out of UAE. My previous experience has mainly been in the systems side, like HCI, storages, backups, cloud, and multi-cloud management, VDI. I have worked on the VDI for more than 10 years now, especially Citrix VDI. So I know the major part of Citrix VDI, and that's how I believe that I can be the right person to differentiate where Sang4 ADS can fit right and why it can be the right alternative to Citrix. Moving forward here, let's see how this webinar is going to help you and what are the agenda and the key takeaways for you all. Firstly, I will be starting with the introduction of Sangfor VDI, again also known as Sangfor ADESC. Then following that, I will do a comparative study where you will get an understanding of where Sangfor stands on the architecture side. What are the differences between Citrix and Sangfor ADESC architecture? And then, of course, the licensing structure where you will understand and you will look what are the licensing when we look at the comparison between Citrix licensing and Sang4 ADESC licensing, how Sang4 ADESC has simplified its architecture and its licensing architecture as well. Now, and then, of course, which is something that we all might be waiting for, which is the migration from Citrix to Sangfor. How can we do the migration? There are certain challenges where customers might ask you, okay, currently I'm using a Citrix environment. I want to migrate. If I'm moving to Sangfor, how is the transition going to happen? We will cover that point as well. And following that, I will cover a few of the major use cases and where we can fit right as well. And lastly, we have the Q&A session as well, where you can put down your questions in the chat box, or you will see a Q&A box there. You can put your questions in the Q&A box as well. right? So moving forward, I will start with the quick introduction to Sangfor ADESC, which is our VDI. So before we speak about VDI, earlier what used to happen was if you want to provide a remote access or a secured remote access is what we have it now. But earlier to that, when you wanted to provide a remote access to your users, mainly you would be using a VPN solution, right? Where a VPN client might be installed on the physical PC, physical laptop that a user is using, whether he is working maybe from outside or from home, it doesn't matter. He will be using, as long as he's connected to the internet, he will be using the VPN client that he will authenticate by his username. The authentication will happen, and that is when the backend access. Now, that backend access may not be fully controlled, right? If the VPN has given access to the backend customer's environment, you're not sure if it is entirely secure. Anything can happen, a breach can happen. There are many ways, and we have seen a lot of breaches happening as well, a lot of attacks happening as well, right? So that VPN connectivity to access the backend application or the backend resources may not be that much secure. So you would just take a laptop, you would go home or anywhere outside, you will connect to a VPN, and you have all the access internally to your organization's applications and network, right? And that is when then you will access your applications and start working as a user. Then, but when we look at users working within the organization internally, you will not be requiring a VPN connectivity. But there are still certain challenges other than the challenges that we all might know, working remotely with a physical PC with a VPN, all the security challenges, the risks to it, the access, the complete access at the back end. Other than these challenges, even for internal users, there are certain challenges, and for IT to manage that physical workstations is very, very complex. Every day user might waste up to 2 hours to get started, to start with the laptop, to start with his work. There could be some issues, the IT will then come to support that physical workstation if there is any hardware issue, if there is any software issue, if any update needs to be done. If you look at an example of 100 users or 100 physical machines that an IT has to manage, imagine the time and effort that has been given by the IT engineer who is supporting these many users, whether it is for the hardware problem or whether it is for software. You have to maintain the software updates and patches in timely manner. You have to maintain the hardware, the firmwares, and all of that. And then, other than that, there is one more important, thing, which is the data. The data, you may not have full control over the data. The data is dispersed everywhere. It can be in your servers, it will be in the user's laptop, it will be in the user's external drive as well. It might be in some of the shared drives. Something could be online. You never know where all your data is. And if something is deleted by a user, you might say that no, and the IT is not responsible, but at the end the data has been lost. How can you control that? How can you control the deletion of the data, even in case if the data has been deleted from these physical workstations? How can you recover? As of now, when we look at the physical workstation approach, there is very, very minimum chances the data can be recovered. And then moving forward, if we look at the business disruption that happens every year per user is around 4 to 8 hours. So imagine the disruption that you're going to have over the years if you have multiple users. And most of the organizations, they have this policy where every 3 years the workstations needs to be refreshed, right? So after 3 years, the workstation will be renewed. They will take back or keep away the old workstations, and they will bring in new workstation, which of course involves cost. And other than the cost, what about the idle workstations? It is wasted. right? So what can we do? What is the solution that we have to, overcome these kind of approaches, from physical workstations to the time that is being wasted in doing the support and the business disruption and the assets which are getting wasted. Other than this, we have also seen now, there is this digital transformation journey that most of the customers are going through, or some customers have already gone digitalized, right? So, with the digital transformation, there are certain challenges that it brings as well. The users' demands are increasing. The users, the way they are going to access. When you say that no, you have gone digital, the way you are going to provide access to the users, whether it is from office within the premises or whether it is off premises outside of the office, whether the users are working from home or from anywhere else, the way they want to access has changed. The demand of the users have increased and changed a lot. They might want to access the backend resources at any given point of time, and they might be using any device. Maybe it can be a smartphone, it can be a laptop or any other device, a Mac. But whenever they want to work, they should have the access available, right? So these are the demands that no nowadays the users have. And especially after the COVID time, 50% of the workforce is working remotely, or at least have gone hybrid, right? So that also plays a major role. And what in case when you are having, and I know customers who have an internal project going on, where they have contractors, how can you provide the access to these contractors with temporary access? You cannot just give them access, and everything at the back end can be accessed by the contractors, or the temporary access which can be provided. You need to have the full audit and full control over what these users have been doing, right? So these are some of the challenges that we have seen since some time, especially when the digital transformation journey most of the customers are going through. So what can we do? Can what does Sangfor have here? Sangfor Adesk helps you consolidate all of this into a single location where you can manage everything centrally. When we look at the desktops, from managing a physical workstation, now you can move into managing your virtual desktop. And when managing a virtual machine or a virtual desktop, it is a lot much easier. The way you are going to update and the way you are going to manage your applications is going to be much simpler and secure. Your data is now centralized. For the user, it is going to feel as if the data is sitting locally in his machine that he is using, but in reality, that data is stored in a centralized server where you as an IT have more control over what the users can access and what the users cannot access. In case if data or a file has been deleted, you can immediately restore as well from the backup that you have taken from that central location. So as you can see, these are the main three aspects that Sangfor helps consolidate: the desktops, the application, and the data. Now everything is centralized, and as an IT, you can manage everything from a single location while having full control and auditing what the users have been doing and what they can do and they cannot do, right? Now, what are the other features that Sangfor ADESC is providing when it comes to applications? Distributing applications is again one of the major challenges as well, the way you are going to distribute, right? So we are helping you achieve that with a simple way of doing it. First of all, when I say that you can control what applications can be accessed, you have certain, through the Sangfor VDIs management dashboard, you can push certain policies where you can control with application whitelist and blacklist, where you can allow certain applications to run and certain applications to not run and to restrict them. Now, second thing is the way you are going to distribute these applications to the end users has been simplified as well. For those who have already worked on VDI or are working on VDI, you might understand and know that the way application distribution works in the simple manner or the traditional manner was when you have a VDI, you will create a template, you will install all the applications in that, and you will create multiple VMs or multiple virtual desktops out of that, correct? But here there is an additional way, there is another way that Sangfor is providing. We call it as application distribution. Now what happens here is, if I give an example of three user groups, one user group is, or let's say group one is using the basic applications like the Office, Adobe, ERP, CRM, web-based applications. There is a third group which is, let's say, is a 3D user group. Sorry, a second group which is using 3D user group, and a third group which is, with users who have different application requirements. Now, for the first two groups, you can distribute the applications through the VM template. But what about the third group? The third group, you can create application templates where, based on the user demands, you can just distribute the application to each user separately. And you can stop that or start the distribution based on users demand and requirement. So it is very simple now to distribute the applications to the user as well. If you start with the application distribution, the user will see the new application and he can start using it. You can immediately then stop it as well, where if there is no need of that application, the application then will not be seen by the user. Now, other than that, we have also seen a lot of users are downloading certain applications, whether it is maybe a video player, or maybe or it can be any third-party application that a user is trying to install and run. You can restrict the download of these applications over WAN, and you can create an organization application store where, let's say, any user can go to that store and see the allowed applications and download directly from there. So it will download over LAN rather than WAN and save a lot of internet bandwidth as well. So this is how you can control and distribute applications to the users, which I feel is a lot simpler, and in a simplified way you can achieve this. So what are the three approaches that you can deliver the applications and desktops to the users? We have three flavors. One is the virtual desktop, which is giving you a complete desktop experience with persistent and non-persistent method. Now, a persistent machine is that where a user logs in uh, with his username and password, and every time he logs in, he will be getting the same machine every time, same virtual desktop every time. One of the use cases for persistent is also that you can a user has the permission to save the data locally to the drive of that virtual desktop, other than saving it to a central location also. But still, at the same time, you as an IT have control over the backups and restore, and control over the data access. That is one of the use cases for the persistent machine. And then we have non-persistent within the virtual desktop. Now, non-persistent is basically a pool of machines will be created. Maybe it can be 100, 200, 1,000, it doesn't matter. A user, or let's say I come now and I'm trying to access. When I get the access, machine one will be provided to me, and that machine will be assigned to me for that session only. Tomorrow I come, maybe machine 2 will be randomly assigned. So every time I log in, a random machine will be assigned to me for that particular session. But still, my profile and my data will be centrally located, and from there it will be pulled and shown to me as if it is the same machine that I had accessed last time as well. So for a user, the experience is going to be similar as if he is running on the same machine. But in reality, the machine assignment is happening randomly. Now, other than the virtual desktop, we have virtual apps as well, where rather than giving a complete desktop experience, a user can log in to his VDI environment and see only the applications, the allowed applications. Maybe it can be Office applications like Word, Outlook, Excel, or Adobe, or any 3D application or a web-based application. He will run that and it will look as if it is running locally, but in reality, it is running in the background in a server, right? Now, other than these two, we have another type of access which we call it as physical PC access, through which if there is any remote site or maybe physical workstations or 3D workstations, you can provide a complete access to these machines remotely while having the similar control over the user's access as well. So this is basically for remote access of those PCs, which can be in a remote site or maybe it can be a 3D workstation also. You can actually mix and match all of these three flavors for a single user as well. So he can see a virtual desktop access, a virtual apps, and a physical PC access as well, right? Now, how do you provide and control the data of the users? How do you provide access to the data and how do you control it? This is again one of the major concerns that customers have. How are you going to manage the users profiles and data? How simplify is it within Sangfor ADESK? So first thing I will talk about is the UPM. We have our user profile management built into our platform, where the profile can be centrally located, maybe in a file server, along with users data. So every time a user is saving something, any file, it will be saved in that central location itself. Now that can be segregated in two ways. One is a user's profile can be segregated in a different folder, and then the user's data can be segregated in a separate folder as well. Now, the way you are going to store these information, the user's profile and the data, depends. There are multiple ways. First is you can save these information, these data in a file server or in a NAS box, in a NAS storage anywhere, or you can store that on top of our VDI platform itself. What I mean by that is, as you all might be knowing, that Sangfor VDI runs on Sangfor's hypervisor itself or on Sangfor's HCI platform itself. You have an option when you run Sangfor VDI on top of HCI, you can attach a personal vdisk. Personal disk, every time a user logs in, he will get a personal disk, like how we have C drive and D drive. He will get an additional drive attached to his session. It doesn't matter which virtual desktop the session is provided. Every time a session is provided, a drive will be attached to the user, which will have the user's profile and the data as well, other than the shared drive, right? This helps you improve the profile login and logout times also, right? So these are the ways that you are going to manage and control the user's profile also. Now, one more benefit here is that when you have the personal disk attached to the session, you can utilize our native backup feature to take the backups of these data as well, even if it is a file server or whether it is a personal vdisk. There are cases, where you might have seen sometimes Windows profiles get corrupted, maybe for any reason. You would want to restore it. You can utilize the native backup feature to immediately restore the profile or the data from the personal vdisk or from the file server itself. Now, let's see how the application distribution is being managed. As I also mentioned earlier also, you have multiple ways that you are going to distribute the applications, but one of the major ways that you will normally use is the from the template. So when you have one template of a machine, you can install all the applications into it and you can create multiple machines out of it. Now, when I say multiple machines out of it, all of these users will get access to these separate machines and access to the applications. Now, Let's take an example of 100 users. But if at a given point of time there are 70 users only who are going to log in, you all that you have to do is from that VM template, you can create only 70 machines within few clicks. Within 5 to 10 minutes, I have seen the machines being created, right? And this is how you can also distribute the applications and create multiple machines. Later on, as you grow, as the users grow, as the users requirement grows, the organization's requirement grows, you can just immediately come to the dashboard and then create more machines as you grow within few clicks. And you can deliver the machine to the users in this way as well. So this is how basically you are going to distribute the machines as well. And as you grow, you can just simply with few clicks you can create multiple machines as well. Now, the way you are going to access, of course, the access and the authentication and the data transmission goes into multiple phases. Let's go, let's look at each phases, how it controls when it comes to security. Now, as you all might know that Sangfor was founded as a security organization as well, right? So we are focused on how can we secure even the remote access when it comes to VDI as well. So looking at the user side, for a user, you can control the access and you can control how the data is being delivered to the user. We have anti-screenshots. Every time a user has a session running, whenever he takes a screenshot, that screenshot will be shown as blank. Or if anybody has taken a remote access, that particular session will be shown as blank, right? Or black color. It will be shown even if you take a screenshot, you cannot see what data is there in it. Every file that has been taken outside of the session, first of all, of course, you can control, you can restrict taking the data outside. You have clipboard restriction as well. Copy paste will be restricted. Data taking outside of the session can be restricted. USB whitelisting, whether USB can be connected and used or no, application whitelisting. But imagine, let's say in a case where you still want to provide a remote access, okay, and you want to control the application access. You want to provide access for users. For some users, they require copying certain data outside. You can, of course, audit everything. What kind of application has been pushed outside, what kind of application has been taken outside, when it was taken by which user, and all of that. Other than that, you have also a screen watermark. Every time a session has been taken, that session will have a screen watermark where you can provide access, and the session will have markings like this session is confidential, or this data, or this belongs to certain organization, this is the username, this is the time it has been accessed. So you can control the screenshots, you can control the data that is being taken outside, but you may not be able to control if a user wants to take a photo from his phone, right? So when a user takes the photo from his phone and distributes the data, and everyone knows that this data belongs to so and so organization, and the user can be tracked as well who has done that. Now, going to the client side, one of the major feature that you get is you can push certain criterias when a user's access is being provided. Now, you can say that I want the user's device to be only Windows based on your organization policy. You can say that Windows only can be used. That device should have the latest antivirus updates, latest Windows updates, certain processes must be running. So these are certain criteria that you can set. Only if these criteria is met, the access can be provided. In some cases, let's say even if a username or password has, if I know a username and password of any other user, for example, but I do not know the device criteria, to have the access. Maybe I can be using a Mac and trying to access. Though I have the username and password, I still cannot access the backend resources, right? So these are some of the security features that you have. And then of course, multi-factor authentication is there, anti-brute force attack, single sign-on, where users don't have to sign in all the time for the applications. They will just log in for once, and you can give them SSO for all the backend applications as well. Then at the VDC, VDC is Sangfor's management control layer, where it is the management appliance, where it helps with giving the entire communication that is happening is going to be encrypted on HTTPS only. That helps in protecting, from man in the middle attack. And as I was saying earlier, Sangfor VDI sits on HCI. We have our native distributed firewall, which is the microsegmentation, where you can protect VM to VM traffic as well. Now, looking at how the data is being secured and stored, we have multi-copy mechanism where every data that the user is going to store will have an additional copy, original and an additional copy of it as well. And that is how you will get data redundancy as well. And then we have at the hypervisor level, we have our built-in WAF that protects from web-based attacks. In recent times, we have seen some of the other hypervisor vendors. They were the hypervisor was breached, as it was a web-based management. But these kind of security features, like we have our built-in WAF. It protects from such web-based attacks as well. And then every data that is being stored uh, is going to can be encrypted as well. We support native key management server for the encryption, or an external key management server as well. So from the user side till the data where it is going to be stored, everything is secured and controlled as well. That is how we call it, as it being a secured VDI environment. Now, talking about secure VDI environment, you can provide a complete secured VDI environment with an additional component known as ASEC. Now, ASEC is again an security component that we have within our HCI platform. Now, having the ASEC component can provide and give you protection against ransomware. You will get virtual patching, threat management, vulnerability scanning, all of these kind of features, and visibility into the security posture of your virtual desktop environment as well. So along with ASIC component, you can provide customers with a complete secured VDI environment. And here only Sangfor VDI is doing that. Yeah, there is no other vendor that I have seen has this built into the platform, where you will get a complete secure VDI environment. They have to rely on third-party solutions, and which is of course very costly, and they have to invest separately into that. Now, business continuity, of course, is one of the concerns. I would rather say a major concerns as well, where let's say if when we look at the physical machines, if the laptop dies for any reason, the user has to wait for a very long time, right? Now, with the VD environment, what happens is, if one of the VM crashes, maybe for any reason, you can immediately restore and provide the access back to the user immediately. We have this native capability where a user's session can stay active even in such cases. So when he logs in again, he will get the same session back, right? Now, one more thing I wanted to add here is that Sangfor has, or we have our own thin client machines also. So rather than customers investing heavily on the physical workstations, you have an option to go with the thin clients. It is a lightweight thin client with minimum CPU and RAM power. It's basically Linux-based OS, where it provides access to your backend VDI environments or your applications. It is a very lightweight, thin client. Rather than investing in, heavily on the physical workstations, you can go with the thin clients and provide the same experience to the user as well. Now, in this case, what happens even, for any reason, if the thin client, has some hardware issue, for example, we have not seen that, in any of the customers' places, but let's say, for example, if the thin client has some hardware issue, you can quickly replace the thin client and provide access back to the user, right? Now, looking at the support, instead of coming physically as an IT admin or as an engineer, when you come and give support to the user, you are there are a lot of efforts that is put and time consumed, correct, for providing support at the hardware level. Now, instead of that, all the way going physically, you can provide remote support from your seat. You can take access to the user's session and provide him support as well. So all of these, has simplified the way you used to do earlier. Now it is more simplified and much more easier, where it helps you save a lot of time and effort. Now you can focus on other things as well, right? Now, when we look at giving support, of course, whenever there comes an issue, you want to ensure that the issue has been addressed immediately and solved with minimum time consumed. Now, we have our native built-in operations and management platform. What it does is, it is basically built on our native AI and machine learning engine. It helps you identify and drill down where the issue is. As you can see in the screen here, let me bring my cursor. As you can see here in the screen, it is helping you understand which cluster it is, which node it is, which VM or which virtual desktop, which application and which process is creating the issue. A user might complain, I have this issue or that issue. This platform will help you identify that. And it also provides you with the VM score, which will give you an estimation or an understanding how critical this issue is. Based on the process or the issue type, it will give you the score as well. And based on that, you can address that. Now, when you come to the dashboard, as you can see, these are the screenshots from the operations and management dashboard, where you can come and drill down where the issue is. And it will also give you recommendations on the closest resolution method, right? So when you follow that and apply that, what happens is, this is overall helping you reduce the issue resolution time from hours to minutes. So as we might know, for those who are working already on VDI, sometimes troubleshooting of a VDI environment may get very complex, right? And the way you're going to manage that, this platform is going to simplify that for you and make it more easy, the way now you are going to troubleshoot your VDI environment issues. All right. Now, the Sangfor has its own proprietary protocol built for Sangfor with 50 plus patents, and it is built by a specialized team, our PhD team, that ensures it delivers a seamless and a better user experience. Now, if I give you an example, other than just the compression, as you can see, there are multiple, features and capabilities within the protocol. Now, there will be a tunnel established between a user's machine and the backend resources or the backend environment of the VDI. That tunnel is basically HEDC protocol. HEDC protocol will build that tunnel, and within that tunnel, other than just the compression of the data, it will segregate each type of data separately. And the transmission, every transmission that happens is segregated. So when I say segregated, it becomes much more seamless and much more easier. And the way you are going to then deliver the sessions, the applications, the resources to the user is going to be completely different, and you will have an entirely different experience. So HEDC, remember this protocol? HEDC is Sangfor's proprietary protocol built by a PhD team within Sangfor. Looking now, talking about the VDI, and and not talking of 3D requirements or 3D scenarios is of no use in that case, right? So other than 2D requirements, only when I say 2D, it could be like CRM access, ERP access, web-based access, the basic application access. But there are some users, some organizations who require in a VDI environment, 3D applications access as well. They build their 3D applications on top of VDI. So for those users, for those customers who require 3D environments on VDI, we support a complete full-fledged 3DI deployments also, where you can build your environment on NVIDIA GPUs or AMD GPUs as well. We support both. You can run any of these applications from Autodesk AutoCAD, 3ds Max, Autodesk Revit, SolidWorks, all of these 3D designing applications, and provide a seamless experience to your users, right? Now, whether it is 2K or 4K resolution, it doesn't matter. You can still provide the high resolution to the users. For 2D, we support up to 60 frames per second, and for 3D, up to 144 frames per second. Now, all of these that I'm talking about is done by the HEDC protocol to deliver high quality images, videos, and sessions. Most of the customers will ask you, what is the bandwidth consumption that we have with Sangfor VDI? If you look at the screen on the left side, you will see that for 2D, it is only 100 kbps. Okay, and for 3D environments, it is only 2 Mbps bandwidth consumption. So imagine with the minimum bandwidth consumption, HEDC protocol, or in other words, Sangfor ADESC, is able to provide that seamless access. If you want, you can test it yourself. If a customer is willing to do a POC, you can do a POC and you can show them as well, right? Now, I have a couple of videos that will help you understand how the experience is. Okay, so this is basically a dual screen where on the left side you are going to see 4K video is being played, and on the right side a user is doing his work on the designing application. The experience is seamless, there is no lag. As you can see, the resolution is perfect as well. So this is how you can work, and the experience is going to be for a 3D user. Even for a 2D user, the experience is going to be a lot better as well. Okay, so this is for a virtual desktop environment, virtual desktop infrastructure, where you are providing a complete desktop experience for 3D users. Now, let's take a look at how it would look like and how you will access virtual apps environment. You, as a user, you will go to the browser, or you can access also via our Sangfor ADESC client. In the browser, you can go to the browser and just enter the URL. Once you enter the URL, you will authenticate with your username and password. And this is how you can access. You will just open the applications. You're seeing only the applications that is permitted for that user. It is going to feel as if you are running the applications locally on the machine, but in reality, it is running in the backend server. Now, for the physical PC access, this is how, again, the physical PC access is going to be provided. This is how it is going to look. You will just see a physical PC icon, or you can name it whatever you want, and a remote access to that physical workstation is going to be provided. Now, moving forward, where does all of this, the VDI environment I'm talking about, is going to sit? It is going to sit on top of Sangfor HCI. The hypervisor going to be used is Sangfor ASV, which is our hypervisor. But I have a question for you all where you can use the Q&A box to respond, to answer. Most of you have already might be working on Sangfor VDI and Sangfor HCI, and you might know. But for others who are new to Sangfor, based on your experience, I would love to see your response as well, what you think. So, what do you think are the benefits? At least one, if you can provide, what is the benefit of running Sangfor VDI on Sangfor HCI? I can give you 30 seconds where your time starts uh, now, and you can please put in your answers in the Q&A box. I would love to see your response. I hope you all have access to the Q&A box, and you can please put your response over there. I would love to hear from you what you think are of and are the benefits of running Sangfor VDI on Sangfor HCI. Very nice. I got one response. One response. Yes, you are right. Where he says manage all infrastructure and VDI from a single point. Yes, correct. What is the other thing that you can think of? Centralized control. Yes, of course. High performance. Yes. Thank you so much. I was waiting for that. Yes, the other response is also right, of course, but one of the major things that is provided is the performance. The central management and all of that is again important part, which is simplified by running Sangfor VDI on Sangfor HCI. But you know, to deliver the user experience to that seamless experience we are talking about is will only can be achieved when you have the performance that is required, right? And running Sangfor VDI on Sangfor HCI, one of the major things is it is giving you better performance by utilizing certain HCI capabilities. One of the major capability is the data locality, where you all might know that Sangfor HCI runs provides certain features where you will see that the applications which are running on top, the data it ensures that is read and written locally. I'll give you an example of a 3-node cluster where you see the VDC running, which is our component for management of VDI, our virtual desktops and application servers. Now, every time, let's say, for example, this virtual desktop is running on this node, it will ensure that the data is being written and read locally from this local disk only. So this ensures that performance is maintained and a better performance is provided. So a VDI environment requires that. VDI running on an HCI is the best combination. So whenever you speak to customers also, and when you position Sangfor VDI, ensure that and make sure that you are talking about this, because having giving performance for a VDI environment is very important. And by giving as a combination, it will you know ensure that the customers are happy and satisfied with the platform as well. So now, as you know that no other than the data locality, we also have this multi-copy mechanism. Again, let me give you an example of 3 nodes. How does VDI on HCI looks like? You have 3 nodes. All of the local storage of these nodes is going to act as a single pool of storage, right? On top of that, you have your hypervisor running, and you can have your VDC, your virtual desktops, and your applications running as well. All of this can be centrally managed, of course. Most of you have answered that. Can be centrally managed, and it gives you better performance overall as well. There is a tight and seamless integration with our VDI and our HCI. So providing as a combination as a single platform is always better, right? So HCI and VDI, these are extremely good combination. Now, moving forward, you will come across certain questions where customers asking you, how are you going to protect the data? What are we doing about the backup part? When you have VDI running on HCI, you can utilize the native backup feature that we have, which is our 1 hour RPO backup, where the personal disk and the VMs or the templates of the VDIs can be backed up. In any case, if the VM or the template has any issue, you can immediately restore with this backup. You can get up to 1 hour RPO backup. We also have advanced backup, also known as continuous data protection, where if you have a persistent machine or critical users and their data, you can go with the advanced backup as well, which is licensed per VM. So for 100 users, you do not have to invest in 100 user license, 100 VM license. You can just invest in that 10 or 5 VM licenses only for the advanced backup, right? For the DR part, other than the cluster level high availability, what are we doing about site level high availability as well? So we have our built-in DR capability. We have our built-in DR orchestrator, which can automate the failover and failback of your applications and VM. So site 1 and site 2, site 1 where your VDI environment is running, if site 1 fails for any reason, automatically the VMs can be then spinned up and run on your site 2. The disruption can be very minimum. The RPO that you get with this is up to 1 hour, which is our active passive DR. Now we also have our active stretched cluster, with which you can get up to 0 RPO, provided that you have less than 5 millisecond of latency between both the sites. Here you can distribute the VDI workloads between both the sites, and it will act as a DR site to each other as well. So if you have customers who are looking to have 0 RPO, you can go with the active stretched cluster to load balance the workloads between both the sites, right? Now, how does the VDI DR looks like? VDC is our component, our management component. It is basically an appliance that is built on top of our hypervisor. In the active cluster, you will have VDC on site 1 and VDC2 on site 2. Both will act as active passive. In case if one of the site goes down, the VDC running on site 2 will become active. But what happens to the VMs? How are the VMs going to act, and how are the VMs being placed? At the VM level, the VMs are going to be active. Every time a data has been written or updated on this VM, immediately a real-time sync will happen on the other side, right? So in case if one of the VM or one of the site goes down, it will immediately be failed over to the other side. We have tested, and so many customers also have tested that less than a minute, you will see that a failover has happened and the session to the users has been provided back with our active stretched cluster. All right. So if you meet any use case like this, we can fit there, rightly, and you can propose Sangfor VDI with active stretched cluster. Now, the major thing that you all have been waiting for is on the comparative study, as we are going to cover more on how what is the right alternative of Citrix, right? And how Sangfor ADIS is fitting there. So before I move on to that, first thing I would like to talk about how Citrix architecture looks like and how we have simplified it. Let's go into the architecture of both the scenarios. In an in any VDI environment, there are always 5 layers. Remember this for those who are already working on VDI and for those who are new to VDI. There are always 5 layers of phases or 5 layers in a VDI environment. One is the user layer, where the user layer is the device that is being used to access, right? It can be a smartphone, it can be a laptop, a Windows, a Mac, anything. Then you have the access layer, where majorly the authentication and the authorization happens. Now, count with me the components as well when I speak of the Citrix architecture. Now, In the access layer, Citrix has a component called as an gateway, which is the netscaler, where the authentication and authorization happens. All right. And then there is storefront, which is the web interface, where you get to see all the resources that you are allowed to see. That falls under the access layer. Then you have the control layer. In the control layer is basically where you manage the policies, manage the user access, manage the application access, security, everything, the monitoring and all of that. Now, you have the controller, Citrix controller in the control layer. You have Studio, which accesses the controller and it helps you manage that. You have the license server component, you have the monitoring component, and then of course you have the SQL or the database component as well, which stores the configuration, logging, and monitoring. Now, these are, if you count, 7 minimum components required. Each of them managed separately. Each of them must be updated every 3 months if you are running on the Citrix CR or Citrix current release versions. You have to upgrade three every time. When I say every time, means 3 to 6 months. You have to ensure that the updates are happening, or else you might face certain issues and Citrix may not be able to support you. Then comes the resource layer, where you have all your applications, your data, your desktops running. Now, all of these are running on a hardware, correct? Which is the fifth layer, which is called as the hardware layer, which can be for Citrix. It can, it supports these where there has to be, certain integrations and support issues are there, multiple point of contacts, all of this. So how does Sangfor simplifies these? Though we also have the similar 5 layer, but we have simplified that in a better way. We do not have multiple components. We have only one single component, that is the Sangfor VDC Virtual Delivery Controller, which has all of these 7 components that you're seeing in Citrix within our VDC. Okay, and the access is provided. How does it look like? In other words, this is how it would look like. Okay, you have a user accessing from the user layer, where everything he can use any device, whether it is from his smartphone, laptop, Mac, anything. The access and control layer is now combined within the VDC appliance. It is a single appliance, which can of course be built in a high availability as well with 2 appliances. Now, all of the 7 components I was talking about is now within the single virtual desktop controller. So what happens here with Sang4 ADESK? The way you are going to manage, the way you are going to upgrade and update is now simplified as well. You do not have to maintain 7 to 8 components separately, correct? So this is how simple the architecture is for Sang4 ADESK, right? Let's take a look at one by one. So first thing on the authentication, Citrix supports LDAP, whereas we support LDAP and local. So what is the use case of having the local username or authentication? Let's say if you have a temporary user, okay, but you don't want to create a user account in the AD, you can create a user account on the VDC itself and provide access at the same time having full control over what that user can do. So we support both LDAP, which can be Microsoft AD, or we also support our local authentication, which can be managed via VDC itself. The controller. In Citrix, it is known as Citrix controller. In Sangfor, we have it in the VDC itself. The access layer, Citrix has to depend on Netscaler plus the storefront. Netscaler is an additional component and licensed separately, which is extremely costly. If I give you an example of 100 users earlier, so Citrix has changed the licensing structure as well, which I'll come to that point later. Earlier, Citrix, for 100 user, Citrix could give you 200 Mbps throughput for Netscaler gateway. But now, after changing the licensing, even for 100 user, you have to invest in 1 Gbps throughput Netscaler gateway. right? So the cost is extremely high. And if you want to maintain HA, you have to invest in two licenses, two virtual or physical appliances, which is extremely expensive. And then the web interface where the authentication or resources will be seen. So that is done by NetScaler and Storefront, whereas in Sang4, it is again within VDC. The license server is managed separately. It's a separate component, separate server. In Sangfor, it is in the appliance itself. Database, you have to maintain SQL Server separately, invest in the licenses also separately. Whereas in Sangfor, that licensing server is built into the appliance itself. Monitoring and operations, Citrix Director, that comes in three flavors again, which with the standard version, it gives you 7 days history, with advanced 30 days, and with the premium for 1 year. So if you want to have a long history, you have to invest in the premium, and which is again extremely expensive, right? Whereas within Sang4, we have this our native operations and management within the VDC appliance or cloud-based as well. You have both the options, right? Now, the software distribution, you have to rely on Citrix app layering, which is again separately licensed, whereas in Sang4, you have the native feature within the appliance itself. Now, application store, Citrix does not have that, where a lot of users download over the WAN and choke the bandwidth. With Sangfor, you can control that. That is also part of the platform, not separately licensed. Now, what are the clients that can be used within Citrix? Of course, basic clients are used here as well: notebook, Mac, laptop, all of that. Other than that, third-party thin clients is what they depend on. Within Sang4, again, we support all the basic components, basic devices like Mac, smartphones, laptop, Windows, all of that. We have our own thin clients, and we support third-party thin clients as well, right? So for Sang for thin clients, it is a very lightweight thin client, and with extremely cost effective as well, right? So this is the architecture difference, that when you look at this, okay, what falls where, and how does Sang4 simplifies and helps save a lot of cost for the customers. All right, moving forward. So when we look at the way you are going to manage the entire solution when it comes to the security part also, right? What are the major differences between the two platforms? Now, the endpoint environment check, I was talking about the criteria, where you have to set the criteria, how it meets the criteria, and the access is provided. Citrix relies on NetScaler and advanced user licensing. That is when you can get the endpoint environment check as well. Within Sang4, it is part of the platform. Anti-screenshot, yes, you must go with the additional licenses, separate licenses, and it is again expensive. Whereas in Sang4, it is free of cost. It is part of the platform itself. Disk encryption, data at rest encryption, Citrix has to rely on a third-party hypervisor. We have a tight integration with our own hypervisor, our own platform, and disk encryption is part of the platform itself. Distributed firewall, which is the microsegmentation again, right? Citrix has to rely on third party, but we have that built into our platform. You can protect your VM to VM traffic. You can say that VM1, or let's say that VM1 is being accessed by user one. You can say that this user should not access that VM or that server on port 3389. You can restrict that. Yeah, that is free and part of the platform itself. Now, application control, blacklist and whitelist, Citrix does not have that. We have that as part of the platform. Temporary policy, Citrix does not have that. You can build a temporary policy for temporary users within Sang4. Now, when it comes to the integrated integration with the EDR software, Citrix has to rely on third-party software. Within Sang4, when you go with the ASEC component, you are getting the complete EDR functionalities like virtual patching, ransomware protection, and all of that, a complete secured VDI environment. All right, now document audit. You cannot audit what has been pushed out of the session in Citrix, but within Sangfor, you can keep a complete audit and reporting of what files, what kind of document or data has been taken out of the session by that user. Though you have allowed it based on the requirement criteria, but still, any of the data that is gone outside of the session can be audited and reported as well. Looking at the licensing part. Licensing part for Citrix, as you can see on the left side, you see multiple licenses for Citrix virtual apps and desktops both, from standard, advanced, and premium. Let's take a look at that and compare it with Sangfor. Now, license type, they have multiple licensing, whereas in Sangfor, we have silver, golden, and platinum. For 2D requirements, silver will suffice your requirement. With all the features I spoke about, falls under silver. Golden and platinum is for different use cases. For golden, it is for 3D users. Now, for 3D users, have two types of users, medium and heavy users. If you have 3D users, medium 3D users, you can go with the golden licenses, okay, or gold licenses. For the platinum, it is for heavy 3D users. When I say medium and heavy, which means the GPU consumption for medium 3D users is not much, but for heavy 3D users, they consume a lot of GPU power, right? So for them, you can go with the platinum licenses. And for physical workstation access, if you have a customer who has physical workstations and want to give remote access, you have to go with the platinum licenses. Now, what are the licensing types? Citrix has concurrent and named users, but of course it is in subscription model and it is very expensive. We have concurrent model where out of 100 users at a given point of time, if 60 or 50 users are accessing, you can license only for that 50 to 60 users. Licensing type, again, they have subscription. They have changed the licensing from perpetual to subscription. And for those who are doing the renewals, they have to go with the new licensing method, which is again very expensive. Now with Sangfor, we have both the options, subscription and perpetual. Yes, we do have perpetual as well. So for those customers who are, want to go with perpetual, they have the option now as well within Sangfor. For what happens when the licenses expire in Citrix, the platform does not work. Okay, so the access cannot be provided and the business will stop, right? In Sangfor, what happens if the licenses expire? The business will continue to run, the users will continue to access, only the upgrade and the new patches will not be done on Sangfor, right? But at least the business disruption is not going to happen. Now, what are the limitations when we look at, especially when it comes to the investment part? Uh, Most of the major features that you're going to require are within advanced or premium edition in Citrix, right? So you have to invest heavily already, even for a minimum number of users. For the minimum requirement on the features, you have to invest either in advanced or premium feature. But within Sangfor, the silver edition will do your job for 2D. All the features I spoke about, all of these features fall within the silver edition of licenses. Yeah. So it is more simplified, no more complications in the way you are going to choose the licensing as well. So you see how simple it is when you look for a VDI within Sangfor. Right. Now, moving forward, of course, the migration has to be seamless, simple as well. How does the migration work? If you have a use case or requirement where customer is currently using Citrix and they are looking for an alternative solution, Citrix or to Sangfor. Sangfor is the right alternative to Citrix VDI, and you can assure the seamless or the simple migration as it is from Citrix to Sangfor. What can you do? You can reutilize the existing hardware, servers, and thin clients. We support third-party thin clients as well. for the OS migration, the template migrations, you can just migrate the templates as it is with our SCMT migration tool. And if it is a VMware environment, you don't even have to use the SCMT tool. We have a seamless integration with VMware environment on which the Citrix environment is running. You can just integrate the templates along with all of its applications and everything, and just migrate from Citrix to Sangfor environment, and you can reuse the templates itself. Now, for the application migration, uh, all of these applications comes along with the template migration from your Citrix to Sangfor environment, and you can then do the distribution of software and application store with that. User data. Now, the user data that is going to happen if you are opting for the personal disk, all that you have to do is copy and paste the data, or you can utilize the robocopy of Windows, which is a tool from Windows. It is a simple tool that can be used to migrate the data or the user profile and user data from Citrix to Sangfor environment. The best part is that if you have the data centrally stored anywhere else, maybe it is a OneDrive or maybe it is, a file server, it is much better. All that you have to do is just change the pointer, or change from pointing to Citrix to Sangfor. That is it. And the access of the data can be provided within Sangfor. So overall, the migration also is very simplified. If customers are concerned and asking you these questions, you can tell them the process. This is how the migration process is going to happen. The hardware can be reutilized, saving cost, right? Migration through the SCMT tool, application migration through the template itself, where all the applications are installed. User data, if you already have it saved centrally somewhere, we just have to create a policy in Sangfor VDI pointing to that location, and that's it. The same data access can be provided. Right, so this is how we have simplified the migration of the VDI environment from Citrix to Sangfor as well. Now, what is it that can be reused? Just as an example, I've added this slide so you get an idea. The existing server that has CPU or AMD CPUs can work as well. If a customer is using a third, 3-tier architecture, storage, SAN storage, mapped over iSCSI or Fiber Channel, that can be used also. If they have an existing NVIDIA GPU from these models that you see here, can be reused as well in Sangfor VDI. If they are using thin clients from Dell, Centum, and HP, that can be reused as well. All that we have to do is the customers don't have to invest in the hardware. They can just take our thin client OS and install it on the thin clients and use it. That is it, right? They don't have to invest now in the hardware and even in the thin clients. They can use the existing thin clients if they are using already. Now, the migration and the process. I will not go one by one, as you can see in the screen. It is just to show you how the migration is happening. The SCMT tool will integrate with your hypervisor environment. If it is VMware, no need of SCMT tool. Sangfor can directly integrate. Sangfor HCI or Sangfor hypervisor can directly integrate with VMware and do the migration, which is agentless. No agent required over there for the migration. But for all other platforms, from physical or let's say from Hyper-V or from any other platform, the migration, you must use the SCMT tool. It will just take that as it is as an image and migrate that to Sangfor environment, and you can reuse those VMs and the applications, right? So quickly moving forward, the part where we talk about the use cases. Now, let's take a look at few of the vertical use cases where we have good number of references and where we can be the right fit. For the general workloads, many companies, nowadays have offices with remote workers and call centers. Sangfor VDI helps them by keeping office work secure so employees can access their desktop safely from anywhere, making remote work easy so staff can log in from home or on the go. helping the call centers run smoothly with fast and stable virtual desktops, and R&D team with by providing powerful virtual desktops for their work. In education, schools and universities need computer labs and digital resources for students and teachers. With Sangfor VDI, computer labs can be managed easily with students accessing desktops without needing expensive hardware. E-libraries become more accessible, allowing students to study from anywhere. In construction, the construction industry relies on 3D design software and big files. Sangfor VDI is perfect because it supports high performance 3D applications like AutoCAD and Revit, which I spoke about earlier already. Engineers and architects can work from anywhere without needing powerful personal computers. So, moving forward to the banking and finance, banks and financial institutions need high security for their customer data. Sangfor VDI ensures safe and controlled office environments so employees can work securely. Centralized IT management, making IT easy to control access to financial data. Fast service hall operations, allowing employees to serve customers without delays. Now, the government part. Government offices need secure, reliable IT systems. Sangfor VDI helps by allowing safe remote work so employees can access systems from anywhere, improving service hall efficiency, making service operations smoother, simplifying IT management by giving full control over users and applications. And then the healthcare. Hospitals, of course, and clinics require quick and secure access to patient data. Sangfor VDI gives doctors and nurses fast access to medical records from any device, keeps patient data safe from leaks or cyber attacks, helps hospitals meet security regulations with built-in protection. So basically, no matter no matter what the industry is, Sangfor VDI makes IT simple, secure, and efficient. Right? It helps businesses lower IT cost, improve security, make remote work easier, give employees a smooth and faster user experience. Now, before I end my presentation and my slides, there are some takeaways that I want you to have, right? So Sangfor VDI, also known as Sangfor A-Desk, has a simple architecture with overall an extremely cost-effective platform as well, which is easy to deploy, easy to manage with its native AI and machine learning based operations and management engine. Extremely cost effective, delivers better user experience, and of course we support more than 1000 peripherals, so like external devices like 3D scan, ID scan, ID card reader scan, external printers, scanners. More than 1000 peripherals are supported in Sangfor A-Desk. Our TAC team or support team, technical support team, is more closer to customers. Especially for the UAE, we have a local support team based in UAE itself, where we are more closer to the customers and we can respond faster for the technical support that customers have, right? Other than the tech team, we are also here and we are also much closer to our customers. You can reach out to us, you can reach out to me or the account manager if you need urgent support as well, right? So that is it from my side, and I would like to move to the Q&A session, where if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box and I would be more than happy to answer. Please do mention your question in the Q&A box if you have any questions. Well, so now to answer one of the common questions that everyone has is when it comes to the management or the policies. Of course, yes, what kind of end clients do we support? Yes, we support Mac, we support Windows, we support smartphones as well. So you can access your backend resources from let's say you are on the go, you are going somewhere and you want to immediately or urgently access an application or data. You can just go to the browser and Chrome or maybe it is some other browser, uh, Safari, let's say for example, you can just go to the browser, and we also have our client also, which you can use to access the resource urgently if you want to from your smartphone as well. Yes, I will be sharing the presentation as well. My colleague Lucas, you will receive the presentation from Lucas. Okay, so there is another question that says, please, can you summarize the various licenses that will be included when proposing Sangfor VDI solution? When you ask that, you mean to say that what are the VDI licenses or HCI licenses required as well? Okay, I will answer in both the ways. For the VDI, it all depends on what kind of access or what kind of use case it is. If it is, let's say, only for 2D, then it is going to be silver licenses only. But if it is going to be a 3D user, then you can go with the gold or platinum licenses along with other licensing where it is a dependency of NVIDIA. Let's say for 3D users, you have to go with the NVIDIA card for the GPU part, right? There are grid licenses which are required. That is by NVIDIA, not by Sangfor. So to use the graphics, GPUs, cards, to distribute that to multiple users, you must have that many user licenses from NVIDIA. So that is an additional component that you can take, you can get it from Sangfor or you can get it from directly from NVIDIA as well. For the HCI part, yes, you will see the component. Okay, one thing to mention here is that with VDI, the hypervisor license from Sangfor is free. You do not have to invest in the hypervisor license. You only invest in the VDI licenses. That is it, right? So hypervisor is given out for free for customers who are going to build a VDI environment. So the license is going to be only for VDI and of course the hardware, right? Like that. Any other questions? If you have, please do let me know in the Q&A box. We have already crossed the time where I was supposed to, where we were supposed to finish the webinar, but I got indulged so much that I spoke a lot of additional things and a lot of interesting things, which I hope you found it interesting as well, that I could not stop myself from talking, which I think stretched my webinar time from 1 hour to slightly more as well. But still, if you have any questions right now, you can put it in the Q&A box, or if you do not have, you can reach out to us anytime, and we will be more than happy to assist you. We'll be more than happy to go with you to the customer meetings. We'll be more than happy, to have the sessions with the customers with you, individual as well. If you want, we can do that to support you, right? We have to work together, and we are here as well. So with that, I would like to end my webinar.
Okay, thank you,
And
thank you.
yes,
Uh, thank you, everyone, and also thank you, Gazali. This is very informative. I'm sure everyone is enjoying, and thank you, everyone, for your questions. Feel free to reach out to us anytime, and you will receive an email after this with the information, the PDF. Also, we will have the whole meeting recorded and I will upload to our own YouTube channel. You can rewatch or anytime. Um, if there's no more question, our webinar will end here today. Yeah, okay.
yeah. Thank you so
Well,
much, everyone.
Gazali,
Yes, thank you
thank
so much,
you. All right.
Lucas.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Gazali. So
Take
wish
care.
everyone have a wonderful day. Ramadan Kareem,
Yes.
and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.